So again, with the um, when you get out on your own, you will probably rent a place before you buy a place. I have some adult friends that still rent to this day. There are advantages and disadvantages to both renting and owning, and it just kind of depends on your situation. Typically, renting a home has some advantages over that, where you can major repairs you don't have to make. You've got a property manager or realtor that takes care of those things. You have an appliance breakdown, it's on them. However, you live in an apartment for 10 years and you decide to move out, you have just lived there for 10 years and you're moving out. If you own a home, hopefully at the end of those same 10 years, you could sell it and you have a little bit of what's called equity built up in your house. Basically, you can sell it for more than you still owe on it, so you get some cash back. There's also, and you can stop the video and read these if you want. I'll just kind of hit the highlights. When you rent, you don't have to make a down payment like you do on a house. So that money that you would have used for a down payment can sit in the bank and earn interest. Okay. Again, with the repairs. And then another advantage to owning over renting is you get a tax credit every year when you file your taxes, because you pay real estate taxes. And that's a whole separate discussion there, but you can get some money back every year. So what we're going to do is look at some expenses of renting a house and some comparable expenses of owning a house over the course of a year, or possibly even just a month, and determine what would be better for us. Okay. So again, I mean, some of you may live in an apartment, some of you may live in a house that's being rented, whatever. So just kind of keep this in mind. I mean, as you get older, I love my house. I like the fact that I own it, that I have some equity built up into it. And, it's just kind of nice to have the feeling of it being yours. You live in an apartment. When your lease is up, you could be told you're not going to live here anymore. And then you've got to pack up all your crap and leave. So it just kind of depends on your situation. All right. So, like I said, you can read through some of this stuff, but I don't think anything of there is horribly important to what we're going to be doing math-wise. So, all right. So what we're going to do, depending on the problem, we're going to look at total annual costs, which is basically all your bills for a year. And then if it asked you, or some of these, you might need to find the average monthly cost, you would take that number and divide it by 12 usually. Or if it was like over a 6-month period, you would divide it by 6. But I'm pretty sure I stuck to 12 on all of these. Okay. So, dang it, my face is in the way. So Mike's renting an apartment for $675 a month. The security deposit is 1 month's rent. So, where is that at? He estimates annual expenses shown in the table. So, annual rental expenses. So he's got all of this stuff listed here. Now, I went ahead and totaled all of that up. So, but just before we get into that, I want to, for the next problem, what's happening here. So to get the total of $8,100 for the rent, he took the $675 times 12 months. The loss of interest, that is, I don't know what that is. Loss of interest, that would be for like just money sitting in a savings account for his down payment or his security deposit, I guess. He's got rental insurance. Again, that's for a year. Electricity for a year, heating for a year. I mean, come on, if your power bill was $1,200 a month, I'd go camping. All right, so total all this up, $13,331. So to get the average monthly, you take the average annual, or it's not an average annual, the annual, and you divide it by 12 to get the average monthly. So 13,331, divide that guy by 12. His average monthly expenses, $1,110.92. Watch your rounding on those. Okay. Not too complicated. Some of them I'm going to leave out some of the details that you kind of have to piece together. Like this one, I left out the annual totals for rent, telephone, cell phone, cable TV. So you've got to come up with those. Your homework is a sheet. So, cells, you'll be able to fill in the cells. So to get the rent, $98.40, loss of interest, all that stuff was listed there. The telephone bill, 40 times 12, 44 times 12, 60 times 12. Add all those guys up. So the annual costs are $13,850. To get the monthly, divide that by 12. $13,850 divided by 12. $1,154.17. Again, watch your rounding. Okay. So what is really more important is to compare those rental expenses to the homeowner's expenses. And a lot of the stuff is similar. All right, you've still got a power bill, you've still got water, gas, all that stuff, but there are some differences. And I'll try and highlight those when we get to them. So, by me. All right, Margaret currently rents a home and has the expenses shown in the table. So she is renting. This is currently where she's at here. Okay, she's wanting to buy a house. She's got a $21,000 down payment. She estimates her housing and rental expenses as shown. Is it less expensive for her to buy or rent? So, the rental, we just did a couple of those. So find the missing numbers and add them all up. So this is what it cost her for a year to rent her house. Okay. Now over here, the homeowner's expenses are a little bit different. Her mortgage is considerably less, but she's going to have to pay property taxes. Okay. You don't have to do that when you rent. So that's an expense that she doesn't have as a renter. Homeowner's insurance, she had renter's insurance, but it's a little bit more. Electricity is more. Maybe this is a bigger house or just not nearly as efficient. That's why the electricity bill's more. Heating, maintenance is she had to make some repairs on her house, and then cell phone, satellite. Okay, this one down here, tax savings. Okay, when she files her taxes, you notice how that's in parentheses? That means that it is not the same as the other. So you're adding. Here, you're going to subtract that because she is losing out. She is saving money when she gets that rebate in the spring when she files her taxes. So what I did was I added all this junk up, but down here at the $725, I subtracted it. Okay, and that was actually enough of a difference to make it more beneficial for her to own a home as opposing to renting a home. So comparing these two annual sets of data, it is less expensive for her to own. So she would be better off owning a house. Now, it's only a few $100s a year, but in the long run, if she lives there for 30 years, it might make a huge difference. All right, so slide my smiley face back in here. All right, Sharon rents an apartment for $930 a month. She has these annual expenses, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we're going to take her rent times 12 because rent is a monthly occurrence. I have no idea what that is, so $930 times 12, $11,160 for rent. Okay, and then the other expenses are listed as annual expenses, so we can just add those on. I've got $1,464 for the electricity, $1,320 for the gas, $1,224 for the phone cable. Her insurance is $300 and $32.55 for her loss of interest. Okay, so her total annual expenses, the $11,160 and all the other stuff, the total is $15,555. So that is annual, ANNUAL. So I'm going to divide that guy by 12 to get the monthly. $1,291.71 monthly. Okay, that's it. Just pay attention to whether a bill is listed as monthly or annual. Okay, you might need to make some adjustments there, but for the most part, I think you're good to go.